All right, all right. Says we're live. We'll see how the signal does. Yeah, the signal looks good. All right, we'll see. Keep a strong signal here. Checking in with everybody. What is going on? Are we having fun yet? We'll see who drops in. We'll give it a minute to warm up, put the signal out. Man, oh man, the madness. So I guess I'll do a little monologue first before we get some people in here. Um, yeah, craziness, folks. Where do you even start? But it's definitely not going to end the way any of us think. I don't think, because it's not going the way we thought any of it would go either. But wow, big changes, I guess, are coming. We just don't know how or when or why. Um, Dad on YouTube did a recap of his 2020 predictions that he did back in December, and he's got a pretty good average going. Yet to see if it'll shake out like that completely, but it was interesting that in the big broad context of things, he's right on target for the big stuff. Yet to determine on some of the things like the re-election and stuff like that, which does it really matter if Trump gets elected? Does it really matter? I don't know. It kind of does in some people's perspective, because things might pick up pace and speed up a little bit. But then again, if it's coming one way or the other, does it really matter? And really, it does. It does matter if it's the quickening, or if it's still going to be this slow boil that we're so used to, this slowly roasting the frog in the pot, right? That we're accustomed to, that especially the masses are accustomed to, and how they respond to what's going on. This has got the natives restless, right? This whole about the last month, like COVID was, the C virus and the Wuhan was one thing, right? And the government's reaction to it. The virus is one thing. The government's overreach and overreaction is a whole nother level, right? That was one thing. And then there's this, the massive riots, for lack of a better word. It's like they saw their opportunity to cause mass chaos and took it. And you line up one side against, the two, you superimpose the two sides and the way things are getting reacted to them. Even the way the media reporting it, the media is in full out rebellion against the people and the way they're reporting things. You got the nice peaceful protesters in one article, and the next article, any rally to do with anything other than the protest is you're going to kill people and kill grandma by spreading the virus. The media is not even hiding their agenda. Not that, a lot of us, most of us saw it anyway to begin with, but if anybody in the public is confused, it's their own fault. If anybody out there that even pays a little bit of attention, they are well aware of the sides being played against each other. And most importantly, that the big media is against the people, for sure. The Marxist messaging and everything else that goes with it on how these protests are framed is bizarre. That anybody would still follow along with CNN or Fox News or anybody else for that matter. I can't remember the last time I watched TV. Now other than watching just a pointless show, nothing news related, nothing live. It's been months. I was thinking how out of touch I was. It's like I didn't realize people were still under quarantine. Like, people are still on lockdown, quote unquote, orders. I was like, what? I haven't done anything different, drastically different. You see the stores doing their thing and everything, but people are still under lockdown, like that they're still not supposed to go out except for essentials and stuff. Like, some places are still like that. I'm like, Oh man, we're doomed. But I guess my perception is not caught up to reality yet. Um, I gotta keep up with the Joneses and see what everybody else's perceptions are and their reactions to what's going on. Um, because the only thing I've been watching is social media and posts from people and videos of protests and this, that, and the other thing. Everything that comes across the Twitter and stuff like that. I thought the whole stay-at-home orders were a thing of the past, based upon everybody's reaction, the way everybody out there in these different states is going about their business. I figured it had to be over, right? If not in action, in a name, but it definitely in purpose, and in reality, it seems like it's over because nobody's obeying. Doesn't seem like, at least nobody that cares. But what does that all mean? I guess kind of the point more so what I was getting to with the title, the crystal ball, kind of going off what Dad on YouTube was talking about with his predictions for the year. It's like, unfortunately, I don't see us getting past the boiling point to get everybody amped up. You know, I don't see that. I think that things are going to stay in a course that where, yeah, people will still stay mad at each other. They'll continue to divide the sides, but it's not going to get so hot that it causes massive combustion, if you will. The flames will not be lit. You know, the flames from Gondor will not, beacons will not be lit to signal the cavalry or nothing. It's not, I don't think it's going to get to that point, even though we're still early in the summer. Just the way things have went down, and you look at it and you go around, and like I've been going around and traveling and just doing the thing like normal. And if you're just driving around everyday normal places, there's nothing going on. There is none of this. There's like 5 people standing outside of the Capitol building in Carson. Big deal. Which is fine. That's a protest. That's a showing your side thing. But unless you're within a 4 or 5 square block area of these big cities, you don't see any of that stuff, or if you keep seeing snippets of like Atlanta, and I just saw one in Charlotte, and all the again, big cities. And unless you're like in one of these population groups that's really actively kicking police out and stuff like that, and things are unhinged, if you will, most people are removed from that. Even the people they're trying to get the message to, the urban white suburban yuppie types, they're trying to get across this message of ending police brutality and stuff. The ones that are protesting, they're not getting the message because they're so far removed from them. They're not in the middle of these cities and stuff, unless I guess Minneapolis people might be getting the message. But again, that's so far removed from most people. Most of us don't see it or respond or react to it. We're looking at it like we got to be ready to react, but it's just not reality for most people. And it's just a blip on the radar for the rest of us. Like, okay, there's a data point. Check this out. This is going on. The statue removal and all the other things, like things that can be replaced or put back up. It's defacement of property and stuff. Like, yes, it's a lot of symbolism, but it doesn't really mean anything. I think everybody's biggest problem is nobody's stopping it. Like, why would you let anybody go out and destroy sometimes private property, not just public property? In some cases, this has been private property in some of these things. And why are they letting it happen, right? And that's the big thing that I think everybody needs to watch closely, is how hands off the police are, other than like in Washington, D.C., protecting, last night, they were the Andrew Jackson monument that was there, the statue, that police have been really hands off with these people, right? Kind of like Richmond, I guess, when the 2A protest went down in Richmond, they were really hands off, but there was no aggression towards anybody or intent to destroy any property either. these people are intent on destroying property, and they're really hands off, right? And we're all looking at it like, well, if that was us demanding a certain way, what would the reaction be? But then you look at the Michigan State House thing, it's like, that was a pretty boisterous crowd that went into the State House there, and they were hands off with that. That probably is the biggest case of like that could have went hot real quick, but it didn't. It just makes you wonder when's that trigger point. And you continue to see National Guard put in the forefront of things, which I think is could be a big problem. You had the not Oklahoma City, in Tulsa, where the National Guard kind of got blocked in. They wouldn't let their buses leave. Like, okay, you just ride it out, right? The mob will get tired eventually. But that diffused, it's just these pointless, senseless crowds are going to go on through the summer. These senseless riot-like actions. It's not, probably Minneapolis is probably the peak of that. It probably won't be nothing like that unless something else happens that the media wants to blow up, So unfortunately, I think we're just going to ride out this summer and at a simmer, and lines will continue to be drawn unless something big, individual point happens to really galvanize people. Because right now, people still aren't united, I guess, or in a united front. And you really have factions. And I'm half the mind. The only thing Dad on YouTube and his predictions said that I was really like, I don't know if Trump's gonna win. Not that it matters, but that's the one big one. Like, they want to flip the switch. Like, you got the bankers already running the show. You got the bankers with all the big debt. Biden's a banker from Delaware. Like, that's the flick of the switch. Put him in there, install him as their puppet, and take it to the next level, right? Of total incompetence. Totally somebody they can just run over and will have no pushback whatsoever, even publicly or even nominally against the globalism, and the one world currency and all that other stuff that's coming down the train track. But we shall see. So that's kind of what I see in the crystal ball, is just a slow boil. I don't see a big change. It'll just be incrementalism, continued incrementalism, because they got their $4 trillion in debt from the economy. That was the real big thing of this whole thing, is the total collapse of the economy and the total empowerment of the central bank with this $4 trillion in debt. And it's going to be $6 trillion here shortly, probably by the end of the year. And before Trump gets out, we'll be close to 30 trillion in debt. And nobody sees it and nobody cares. Everybody's so distracted by all the other things. Like, those are the things that really affect the country, is the central bank's control and what they want. We're just minions along for the ride, unfortunately. So I don't know. I just wanted to get in here and see how it would show up. So what we got, I saw a bunch of names flash by. I think I saw Delaware Patriot actually first on there. Thanks for the video, sir. Delaware talking about Gettysburg this morning. And they're doing a 4th of July thing again with the Antifa threatening to take down memorials and statues there at the Gettysburg battlefield. And if there's one thing that's going to get people mad, it's defacement of things like that. Not just statues to presidents, but memorials to fallen soldiers is going to get a lot of people fired up quickly. They want to cross the line. That might be the one. So yeah, the shovel works good. Hey, what's up, Jay Sparks? How are you? Hope the property hunting is going good. Yeah, they are fighting for their own tyranny, right, Sparks? That's the key that all the powers that be love, is like they're fighting against each other instead of against them. That is our biggest problem. And the Marxists and the useful idiots of the Marxists are always going to be fools of their own errand with the way they approach things. Hey, RG Homestead, how you doing this afternoon? Jamie McIntyre with us. M Long, M5151, and the Saint. Good afternoon, Saint. How you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Texas Marine, what's up? What's up? It's looking like a nice hot day out here, is what it is. Pushing triple digits, but it's all right if you're in the shade. A little bit of a breeze. Right, J-Mac? People confuse protesting and rioting as the same thing. And even people that are against it, or like, this protest has got to end, when really they mean the rioting has to end. And some people think they're protesting when they're rioting. It's like, rioting doesn't count. Right? That's not First Amendment covered. Destruction of property is not covered under the First Amendment. But I like that there was a guy who, everybody's probably seen it, where Como up in New York said that, where does it say you have to be peaceful in a protest? And the guy did the Vine or TikTok or something. It's viral now. It's everywhere. He's eating a dry ramen, and he's like, it's right there in the First Amendment, Mr. Como. It's pretty funny. Just point blank right there. The right to peaceful assembly is guaranteed. But that's just a hilarious skit. It's not long. It's like 10 seconds. Mr. Cuomo he just plays the snippet of Cuomo saying, where does it say you have to be peaceful? And it's like, it's right there in the First Amendment. He, highlights the text. Oh man. It's like, couldn't be no more straightforward than that, right? Oh man. Hey, Saints and Sappers, what's up? Yeah, quiet professionalism, right? Yeah, that's what most people are being, I think. People are like, who's going to stand up and prevent all this, the damage and the protesting damage and the riot damage and stuff? And it's like, most of the people that care aren't in the cities. I think what people fail to realize is, most of the people who everybody's like, well, where's the militia? Where's these supposed patriots? Like, hey, we're not in the cities. That's where we are. We got out of there a long time ago for the majority, and the few that are there are like hunkered down. Nobody wants to go out and getting caught in something that they didn't themselves plan, right? You don't want to go into a chaotic situation without your own plan. So why would you just rush in there when you don't know what all the variables are, right? We got this old and this way in life, not by being stupid and rushing into things for the most part. We learned our lesson at a young age. Make the idiots come to you. Make them fall into the far ambush if they have to. Hey, Rooster Cogburn, what's up? Losing your mind over forced mask wearing? Oh, really? Are they forcing it over there, Rooster? I heard the governor say something, but I was just in California this weekend, and ain't nobody wearing a mask. I mean, there were people like anywhere else, but not like everybody. There was no forced, like everybody wearing a mask. We went inside and didn't have a mask on at all. But it's probably selective, depending on where you're at, how close to the control grid you are. Depends on people's compliance, probably, to a certain degree on that. But I continue to say, hey, wash your hands, stay away from people. You'll have no problems. I have no problem staying away from people. The 6-foot rule's always kind of been my rule to begin with. If you're within knife distance, I got problems. I don't want to get that close to anybody. It's just a good rule to follow in general. And just washing your hands and stuff, like that's another step. Like, should be doing that anyway. We're taught that in like first grade way back when, simple disease mitigation procedures. I still don't get this whole treating this thing as like a super bug, that it's not. It's pretty easily defeated as long as you're not like next to somebody breathing on you and breathing it in and not doing any sanitization after contact. Like, takes a lot to get affected. They even backed off. I saw they backed off the whole asymptomatic transmission, that it wasn't as easy as like they were trying to make it out in the beginning. And if you live in the same household, that's one thing, but just out in public, you're probably not going to get an asymptomatic transmission unless like you're riding in a taxi with somebody or on the subway, like in these big cities where it's become a big problem, right? Which, speaking of the big cities, I'm not going to get it. I don't want to talk about the stupid Wuhan. It's just not, it's going to be a forgotten thing in the future where all this stuff is leading. Like, the Wuhan is the least of our problems. It's just a blip in history, It'll just, everybody, the way they're going to write the history books, they're probably going to, depending on how this all shakes out, of course, depending on who wins and who loses, I guess, they'll probably write this down as like this big event that caused all this chaos when the Wuhan didn't cause it. The government and the central bank caused 90% of what's going on. The Wuhan killed people, yeah, because it does kill people, but all the other financial, social chaos is all the government and central bank's fault. It was all stuff that they had in place prior to that just came to a head when people got locked up for 2 months with unconstitutional state shutdowns in the economy and stuff, and people are sick of it. And I'll just boil it over from there. Common sense is an uncommon virtue, right, Texas? All right. Time for the fall west to fall then? Well, Rooster, it would seem that, with all these supposed, it's funny how these riots all of a sudden got into England, right? And Great Britain. Like, what do you guys pressed in police brutality in Great Britain? You guys they can't even carry guns. Like, they don't even go after these rape gangs, like the police are in Great Britain are some of the most emasculated group out there. Now, the German police, I've seen video and heard stories, like those people will beat you down and get away with it. Same with the Japanese police. You want to see a beatdown, get drunk with the Japanese police around and see what happens to you. The JPs will definitely take you out. They got no problem with beating you, and you don't have a leg to stand on under their judicial system. Right, when you know it's worldwide, Rooster, you know it's a bigger movement. It's part of the Marxist agenda. It's just, there's so many different avenues for how this gets implemented for one world currency and everything else that you really got to look out for, And that's one thing I was thinking about. I've had so many ideas for videos over the last couple of weeks. I just haven't had the time to take the hours to sit down and, make it and then edit it and, upload. Like, I ain't got the energy or time right now for that. One thing I was thinking, like, they're making plans, they're doing things, they're implementing plans, right? They're taking advantage of these events to implement things. Like, we all are. I think one thing we need to be really cautious of as a group and as a whole and as people individually is, yeah, we're watching what's going on in the interim and in the immediate future here, and we looking for the ball to move and looking for events that might occur and what we're going to do. But I think you still need to implement and think about your 5 and 10 years down the road. What are you doing now to implement or to be in a position in 5, 10 years from now to where you want to be, to where you want to set things up, whatever it might be, whatever goal you might have, still get those things done. Whether it's like sparks and finding property, or whether it's, the big stuff in life, right? The big things. Just setting yourself up better financially, all those things that, we continually to develop in life. Get back on that ball, get back on that horse, and continue to move in that direction while still, of course, watching these immediate events. But I think so many people have just sat on the sidelines and just kind of like let it come to them, these current events, that they've forgotten the long picture. And I to a certain degree, I think I have too. And that's kind of why I thought about that, is like, hey, we forget about this near term, intermediate stuff. You can't control it. You definitely want to react to it if you have to. But what did you have on your docket to plan out, for the next 5, 10 years? Have you stopped doing the steps to get there? Get back on that horse, continue to ride in that direction as needed. Don't get distracted by what's going on now, even though it seems like the end of the world. It'll never be the end of the world, and if it is, it won't matter. But it could be a change, as drastic a change as it could be coming. Still need to continue to make progress on our other things that we were doing, whether you wanted to install solar, or you wanted to move, or you wanted to put the kids through college. I don't know, all those things. Still, continue to march on things to improve your position further down the road. So when this comes at us again in 5 years, you'll be at a better spot, right? So that's my soapbox for the day is, yeah, we want to predict what's going to happen with this in the future and think about how bad it could be, but still got to implement the things you need to do that you've always known you needed to do or wanted to do. And don't get distracted by the near term. It's like, I I don't know, anything that's happened in life and all the things that happen in the world around us as we're going through life. Like, we still, graduated high school, you still did the things, got a job and got another job and got another job, like got a better job, got a promotion, like those big events that you continue to need to work on, like don't get distracted from those. Keep going, So that's my, I guess, that's my motivation for the day. My motivational speaking for the day is keep moving towards the life goals, towards the big goals. Because I look at like my kids are at that age where they're on the verge of moving on in life, right? And getting out of the house and all these things. Like, you don't want to dissuade them from their future goals, right? Like, yeah, we got this stuff going on. What can they do to be ready as they leave the home and everything else? Like, what do they need in place? But what else do they need to also, they're not going to go live in a bunker just because this is going on, they need to continue to, get, whatever professional development they need and everything else, right? So don't neglect those things of life just because of these short-term things that are going on. So I guess that's my rant. Pass the word, spread the love. Hey, man checked in. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Bikes and bullets, the end of the world is an individual thing. We all die alone. Well, we all die with our boots on, right? That's the key, bikes. That's the one thing I don't want to do is be caught without the boots on. If this does go sideways. But at the end of the world is, not the end of the world in my mind. If you're a spiritual being, you know that there is something beyond here, but that's up for your all's individual assertion of that. Saint says he'd love a vacation. I'm not getting too far from the caches. Right, Saints? Who's got time for a vacation? Yeah, right. Even when we went over to California this weekend, it's like it's not too far. I can get there. I got a tank of gas. I'm good. Hopefully nothing drastic happens while we're over there. But when you're in the mountainous areas, it's not like you can't get back to Nevada pretty easy. It's not like you're down in the Bay Area and it could get locked down and you're stuck in the city or something. That's a whole different problem. There's enough roads back into the mountains that you'd be all right, I guess. Rooster probably knows the egress routes better than most if he had to get out of there. But vacation is not really something, I guess. Speaking of vacation, I guess the cruise lines shut down. They totally shut down any cruises leaving the U.S. supposedly because of the virus. Like people weren't locked down enough. And yeah, you don't want that stuff on a boat, as the early events showed. Then they got that on there when they got the virus on those boats, right? Like, okay, that could spread around pretty easily. And that's why I talk about asymptomatic transmission. It's like, you got to be really tight quarters. It's not like you're just going to walk around public and get it. You got to be in a contained environment, like a boat, like in a squad bay. For all those that live in a squad bay, it'd be really bad. Hey, Dad on YouTube checked in. Hey, Dad, we were talking bad about you earlier in here. So your ears are probably burning from what we were talking about earlier. I was kind of going down your rundown of what could potentially happen, and I just had the one disagreement. I think that if anything, I think Trump won't be reelected. But that's yet to be determined. But it just depends on how much the bankers really see themselves as being in control of things, and how much of that puppet they want. Just put it out, because Biden is just a wet sock, basically putting him out there. Uman says we're still a long time away from getting biblical, right? Yeah, you just don't know. Because really, what's been interrupted, like I said earlier in the chat, or earlier in here in the stream, was my life hasn't been really affected drastically. I had to work a lot the first couple months, but other than that, things, and like I was saying this past week or so, this last month, it's been like, I didn't know people were there's still people under lockdown orders. Like, what? That's crazy. It hasn't drastic, at least here. And I think there's a lot of places in the country where people are oblivious to not only the Wuhan, but they're oblivious to the riots because it doesn't affect them. It's not in their immediate AO. And unless you're in that 10 square block area where this stuff's happening, it really doesn't matter. Even if you're in Minneapolis or Charlotte and you're 10 blocks away from it, you know, there's always been bad sides of those cities, like St. Louis. When I first saw that video of St. Louis, it was about a month ago, I guess, 4 weeks ago or something. It was right after Minneapolis. There was a video of St. Louis. It sounded like Fallujah or something. It was just constant, back and forth. And it was like, what in the world is going on? And you're just, you know, but it was just a really minute, small frame, intermediate piece of time, snapshot, you know, but that's it. It's not like it drug on for days like that. It just was a short instance in time that it got on video, right? And that was similar to something that happened in Charlotte last night too, when they had this video of an ambulance pulling up and all of a sudden started taking fire. It's like, okay, again, it's a really small insert piece of time. You can't judge the bigger picture necessarily by that. And most people aren't affected by it. They don't see it. They don't care to see it. It's something that happens so far removed, you know. It's not like people have been indifferent about other places for a long time in America, right? And so that's not changed. People are still indifferent to the bigger things that are going on around them. As long as their life isn't impacted, they've got Netflix for sure, because Netflix's stock is through the roof. Disney Plus, whatever their streaming choice is. Now, where things might get affected is if their vacation spot is not open. That's going to start getting people a little riled up as summer drags on. Obviously, if school doesn't start, for a lot of people, that's going to really impinge on their plans. People are probably enjoying their work from home schedule. If they're on a telecommute type schedule, they're like, hey, this isn't so bad. I can handle this. Like, they don't see a down negative side. They're not seeing any negatives right now. The food shortages haven't really crept in drastically. The price inflation is getting there, but it's still manageable. It's not gotten totally out there. The people that are unemployed, yeah, a lot of people are drastically affected by unemployment, but a lot of people are getting paid more than they were on their regular job. So they don't care. So, you know, you got the unemployment numbers are, you know, split up like that. So there's not enough people really drastically affected to really have a big reaction to anything going on right now, I don't think. Still to be determined in the future. Again, as I said earlier, that simmer I think it's going to stay simmering all summer. It's not going to boil over. As Dad on YouTube was mentioning in his video, he didn't think the Boogaloo was going to happen this year. We got really close. It definitely happened in that 5 square block area of Minneapolis. That's as close as we've gotten, right? Again, it's a limited snapshot, limited period of time. So it's been regional or very locational dependent. So it's not widespread yet. None of it's widespread. So I think I'm gonna have to jet out of here, folks. Thanks everybody for checking in. Thanks for the comment. Oh, Dad, you still think Trump's gonna be in? Yeah, I've never been a Trumper, Dad. You should know that if you watch this channel if you've watched this channel for any time in the last 5 years. Because I was saying from the very get-go that Trump was just here for the collapse. He's here to guide us into the ground. He's piloting the plane to the ground without landing gear. Hey, Chance B, what's up? How you doing? Who let me take lunch, right? Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Crispy Sandwich, welcome to the chat. America's falling. Yeah, we're in a downhill spiral. The thing is, people don't realize it, and they think the central bank is their savior and it's their worst enemy. That's probably the biggest thing for the average American. Our biggest problem is the average American think the central bank is actually helping things when it's making things worse. Dad's still working from home, won't reopen the Cube until we get 14 days of lower numbers. Numbers are still on an uptick, right? Who was it? I saw somewhere that some government employees weren't going back till January, which is just crazy, you know? Hey, what's up, ungrateful peasant? What's up, Wayne? Thanks for checking in. I'm just ready to cut it out, Wayne. You always get here at the end. Yeah, I got to jet out, guys. It's been about that time, a good 30 minutes. So thanks for checking in. I hope everybody was motivated by my motivational speech. Get out there and do the things to get ready for the next 5 years. Don't necessarily work about the next 5 weeks, even though you want to be flexible and be able to react as necessary. So y'all have a good one. Prep hard, live free.